Hey guys, during the weekend, Valorant gave us a new video with the dev update about balance and like some changes in the game and so on, and opinions of the Valorant developers. So I would like to react to what we hear and well, prepare you for what's to come, because I'll analyze the stuff that they will say in the video. So let's just jump in.
Hey everyone, I'm Cole.
Hey!
I'm a product manager on Val Gameplay.
Hey, and I'm Dan, Val's Balance Design Lead.
We're happy to be back to take a minute to discuss where the game's at heading into the end of the year. These year-end patches are typically the best opportunity for us to make necessary balance adjustments and try new things without disrupting pro play. You can expect the year-end to be a
This is why we're getting all the big changes after Champions, or like not exactly during the games when we expect a Masters tournament in like 2 weeks or something. So it's a little bit always weird because of that. I hope it will get better at that when the schedule of the tournament is gonna be a little bit like stretched, but I don't know actually if that will ever happen.
time where you see larger scope changes that are meant to have a substantial impact on the game.
The updates we made to ISO, Neon, Reyna, and Raze have helped us hit our goals overall. While we
Now that's kind of weird to hear, right? Because
The updates we made to ISO, Neon, Reyna, and Raze
those goals, like, I'm not certain what I would love to see what the goals are, because it actually made the ranked actively a worse experience for almost everyone, because now we have even a bigger pick rate of Reyna than we ever had before. And you guys remember how was ISO? I mean, ISO was very good. I don't think he was like giga broken, but he was good enough for everyone think that he is broken. And because of that, we had like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I can't remember exactly, of him and Reyna being just in every game.
have helped us hit our goals overall. While we did overswing on ISO initially, after the follow-up patch, the Duelist ecosystem is in a pretty healthy and varied state for the most part.
And we think that
Yeah, so I was checking the stats on that, and Jett is in 12% of the games, or even higher depending on the rank, and Reyna is at least at 10% of the lobbies, which means that on average every lobby has a Jett and a Reyna. I wouldn't say that's healthy. So I
this push and
disagree
pull
heavily
is a
with the
totally
devs
normal
here.
part of live balance with competitive games.
And to show you that, actually, we can actually go to the website that checks that. We go to ranked, we go to stats, agents. We're gonna check the newest patch in all regions. We're gonna check ranks. We're gonna go Immortal Plus. That's typically the best indicator, right? And now from here, we don't need any of those. And then from here we check the pick rate. Yeah, so at Immortal Plus, in every region, an average lobby has at least a Jett and a half, at least one Reyna, essentially, right over here. Like, that's just crazy. ISO almost 6%. Why is this ad playing? Raise 5%. Like, yeah, I don't think this is healthy at all. And if you get all ranks, then we have Jett and Reyna being essentially, nah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't essentially I don't agree with what they're saying about the balance of the duelists, but hopefully more changes will be made to this system in the future.
We want to ship more patches throughout the year, but we also want to ship them in a way so that they're not overly disruptive.
We are still working on Phoenix, and we're planning some other opportunistic changes within the Duelist roster.
Okay, so let's think about that. So they're changing Phoenix and other duelists. If they mean other duelists, was there any duelist that wasn't touched actually on during those latest changes? Like, let me check. We have ISO was changed and he's not gonna be balanced again. We have Jett, who's still broken and I think should be touched again and nerfed, but I don't think she will be like touched at all. Then we have Neon, who is just buffed, and till we get enough one trickers to actually play her well, I don't think anything will be done about her, because I think she's actually broken. Raze was touched, Reyna was just buffed for no reason, and Yoru is too good, but he's too complicated for the majority of players to play, so you don't see him being oppressive. So I don't think he's gonna get nerfed, although I do think he's too good. Now, Phoenix is the only duelist that wasn't really changed. And to be fair, in my eyes, Phoenix has the best ultimate in the game. Like, not even close. His ultimate is just insane. 6 orbs for getting you another life, essentially, to like try to enter site is absolutely bonkers. What changes are gonna make to him? I'll be honest with you, I have no idea. I think he is very well like designed in a way that all of his utility pieces are working together. So I feel like maybe they will just make his wall way longer or like not in duration but like in distance and like taller as well, maybe stuff like that. But other than that, I don't feel like you can push him too much because he might just get too good. People might start realizing, wait, this agent is just giga nuts for ranked and his ultimate is giga broken. So we'll see. It's very interesting to hear that there are some other opportunistic changes within the Duelist roster. I don't know what they mean by that. But if I would be a developer for Valorant, I would definitely nerf Jet and I would just delete Reyna. I'm not serious about Hero, of course, but I would heavily rework Reyna for a completely different scope of utility.
Spots on the roster that are in need of some tuning, particularly among some of our weaker Sentinels and our controllers.
Which means essentially they're going to change Deadlock and what? They're going to change Deadlock and they're going to change Harbor.
We know a lot of you will be expecting Harbor changes with this patch, but unfortunately they're taking a little bit longer since we think he needs larger scope work and we're still exploring our options here.
Oh, okay. So we get some info about Harbor. So by them addressing it that he still needs work and they're still in like thinking phase, which means we're not going to see the changes this year. That's my assumption. Like, because of the wording, we're still exploring our options here, and also, let's hear it again.
But unfortunately, they're taking a little bit longer since we think he needs larger scope.
Since we think he needs larger scope work. In other words, that means that he needs a rework. Like, a rework includes many different departments of a company, because one, his job is to balance it. So he comes up with ideas of what to do to balance him. If any of it is different than changing numbers in an already existing utility piece, right? Like, let's say we have Cove for Harbor, the smoke that has a shield. If the balance change doesn't include the numbers of the actual like shield, then the changes need to be incorporated in many other aspects of the company. Let's say we want to rework and the utility into something else. Now we have to include the graphics, the animators, the riggers, and everyone else who's involved in like actually making a new utility piece. I'm not exactly sure how many other departments are in it, but the graphics are one of the most important. Like, you need to prepare a new batch of graphics because you're changing something that is like, you know, integral to an agent. So this means this is gonna be a huge change, most likely, like reworking one or more pieces of utility. But from my perspective, like, Harbor needs a one piece of utility that is not a smoke, because currently his entire kit is like literally smokes. It's a wall that goes forward, it's a wall that goes like sideways, and it's a smoke that has a shield, but it's not a smoke because when it's destroyed, the smoke disappears. One of the biggest issues, right? Just change Cove to be always a smoke, even when the shield is destroyed, and it suddenly becomes 10 times better. But in general, like, I do agree that he needs a rework. So I'm happy to see this, but we cannot expect it fast.
Shortly after filming this video, Vice...
And about Deadlock. I released like many videos about Deadlock. I still think she needs an entire rework. I had a video that I'm gonna link it down below from my old channel, I think, about how would I change Deadlock, and I still think there are viable choices.
Be joining the roster. So, we'll be following her performance closely, as we do with all of our agent releases.
And Vice is fine, by the way. She's not broken, she's not great.
You'll start to see some of these changes roll out.
She's not weak, she's okay.
Changes to Astra and Chamber. For Astra, we wanted to improve her total utility output compared to other controllers. And for Chamber, we improved his capability to defend territory aggressively and still make it out alive.
And I don't think that any of those changes to Chamber were actually needed. They actively make the game worse as well, because now the Chamber pick rate is doubled in
We're
size.
also buffing the Ares to improve its viability compared to the rest of the mid-range price point.
I think the
weapons
gun is
in patch
okay.
905. Additionally, we're making it
It's
easier
playable.
to control recoil when your fire rate is increased by things like Reyna ult or Brimstone.
Now, this is unfortunately made for the lazy players who didn't have the, let's say, mindset of getting better. How many Reyna players do you know or heard say, I'm not using the Reyna ult because it makes me whiff my full sprays? Well, I mean, buddy, if you choose an agent that you don't want to play the ult from, well, then you have a bigger problem. You know, but in general, I don't like this change because it's catering to the lazy players. And I think if you would spend time in practice range like they show here to practice, you wouldn't have the problem that people have.
You can also expect changes to Phoenix, Sage, CYPHER, and GEKKO.
All right, let's talk about that. So changes to Phoenix, we already spoke about it. Changes to Sage. I would say if they want to keep her identity, I don't think we're gonna see changes to like in like reworks, but I would definitely like buff her own heal. Like it's a joke right now. Like the 30 HP on herself is just feels like a joke, and I don't think it's even good for the game. Like you can't incentivize player to use his utility piece on someone else just because it's weak on yourself. Like there's a still option. Like either delete the option to heal yourself, or just make it also pretty good for yourself. Because right now, it's pretty bad. But I do think that Sage in general is not the greatest character. I think the wall is okay. The res is too expensive, but also it's like reactive. In general, I just don't like Sage as a character. But I don't think you can push her, like, you know, to be viable more, because players just don't like playing against her for some reason. The Sage slow probably should have a little bit of bigger radius than it had before. Maybe not as big, but that's about it. Now, CYPHER, I think they're gonna probably just nerf his like reattachment of the trips, which I think it's bad for the game, because right now, maybe I'm a little bit too harsh on the lower ranks, because in higher ranks, people need to adapt to like the changes to the game, and the fact that trips from CYPHER were reattaching to itself, right? After tagging a player, if you didn't destroy the trip, it was working again in like 2 seconds. And I think that's good for the game because people had an incentive to destroy it, because otherwise they might die as well. Now, with if they change that, then players again will bait each other to just someone go into the trap, and then you don't have to care about it because someone already got into it. So we'll see. I don't think they will change anything about the ultimate, although the ultimate I'm not a big fan of, because again, reactive ult, but at least it's a 6 orber, but I think it should be a 5 orber, or you should make it, I know 5 orber is kind of like crazy to think about, but think about it this way, like when you start the round, and you have your ult ready, he's the only character that cannot really use it till someone dies, just like Sage, right? But it's a little bit different, because Sage requires your teammate. CYPHER requires your opponent. So it's like, I don't like the fact that you cannot really use it proactively. I would love it to be like able to use the ult on itself, just like without a body, but then it loses the lore, so I don't think they're gonna do that. Now, when it comes to GEKKO, I think what's gonna happen here is they're gonna just nerf the ult 1+ orb to the ult, because it's happening too often from their perspective, but it's not happening too often because he's such a broken character. It's happening too often because of Wingman. Wingman plants the spike for GEKKO. If GEKKO farms orbs, he gets the ultimate fast. Now, it's gonna be a knee-jerk reaction to the system that they built in the game. So I'm not gonna be a big fan of that. And he's gonna become way worse if that happens. But I don't see anything else that they're gonna nerf on him, and I don't think they're gonna buff him because he's in a good place. And GEKKO is actually really bad against good players, because all of his util apart from the molly can be shot down, right? So it's like he doesn't really have the impact that you think he has at the highest level.
There might be some other fun things in store for patch 9.10, but we'll update you on that more later.
But before we go, we mentioned on our socials that you'd all see a new map rotation in 908. Icebox and Lotus are out, and Split and Pearl are back in.
In that video,
Cannot
we
wait to
mentioned that we're
play
making some
Parallel and
adjustments to
Split
Sunset.
again.
More specifically, we're adjusting B-side.
All right, so let's talk about this one. So those are big changes. I downloaded the screenshots of that. So we have the screenshots of the change. This is the after the changes, right? I'm gonna go back to 1 second, to the changes before. Here we go. So this is before. This is before the change, and this is gonna be after the change. So what changes over here? So we know what can we expect. So right here you can see that they extended this wall on site, right? They added the bus stop that you have over here. So this is kind of similar to Icebox, but on Icebox you never plant there because it's too silly. Right, the position is just you cannot just cross this side typically because that's just how Icebox works. But here it's gonna be mattering a lot. They lowered this kind of this part of the wall over here, so like the ledge. They changed the, I don't know how to call this, like they added this small wall on this side of site. And this changed the fact that now from CT you are not able to see someone's head when he's crouching over here. Like that was one of the issues when you were like trying to hide behind this wall. You were visible from CT over here. So that's not going to happen anymore because of the slope over here. So that's a big change. And in general, those changes are pretty huge to site, but I don't think for the better. Because you're going to see in a moment, they also changed B main. Like, let me just give you a little bit of context. They're also changing backside and they're also changing the front, right? So everything is being changed about the site. But the main goal is to like make the post-plant meta healthier for the game. But I actually don't think this is gonna happen the way they think, because the changes that they added over here, I think they're gonna make it worse. So from now on, when you want to plant, your best plant is gonna be either here, and it's gonna be incredibly hard from it to defuse, right? Because it's open to main and it's at a wall and it's open to market as well. So it's like you're open everywhere, and also in the corner over here. And the problem with like planting in the corner over here is that you can only stand in the pink spots and on the spike itself, right? So when you're like in a corner like this, you are insta dead. The moment you defuse over here, you're instantly dead. You might be in a smoke, you might be out of some smoke or whatever, but you literally cannot defuse because there's like two angles, and a skilled player will instantly kill you because there's not many places that you can stand on. So phantoms for smokes over here kill and diffuser every single time. It's even worse than in this position, right? Because there's just not many places to sit. And also look at this ledge over here. This ledge for omens, this adds a one-way. So you're gonna be able to one-way this, like here, and then you're not able to diffuse as well. So that's a new part of a post-plant plan for B main, right? So getting to site is gonna be a little bit easier because you're gonna be able to dash into this position as well behind the hard cover and not be exposed to market. So it makes it a little bit easier for the attackers to plant. And even when you plant from this position, it's still good for the post plant as well from B main. So like we'll see. Now let's take a look at another screenshot. This is the backside. Huge changes over here. Like absolutely huge changes over here as well. So what changes here is that first and foremost, look, there's a new platform here with a box as well and stairs. Like, I don't think many people realize that maybe they just don't see it or something, but that's a huge change. There's another elevation that changes the way that you're gonna be holding angles. So like peeking out of here is gonna be problematic because now you're gonna have players in different elevations because of that. Like someone can be on top of the box, raise Omen, Jet, both defense and attack. So like in post plant, pre-plant, like all of that, it makes it even more important to use utility like out of your main if you attack, so to make sure that those angles over here are covered because they are looking straight up into B main. And if you're going out of CT, now you're going into a hard 50-50. Another change that I don't like. Like, pay attention to the old CT. When you were going out of CT, you could go out here and look into this direction and avoid a 50-50 because the angle works like this. But now, when you're gonna be going out of CT, you have to get out, right, from like the extremities, and you're gonna be exposed to a 50-50 angle because opponents can stand here, right? So like those positions are for the players. They're gonna be playing defense after planting. So like it's rough. And also this player in the yellow circle is not affected by players peeking from market. So like even if you peek out of market, like market players need to look into this direction, and then those players here need to look into this direction. It requires a huge coordination. Like this is gonna be a problem for ranked, like an incredibly big problem for ranked. So this is both a buff for defense and attack at the same time, but for attack only in post plant, right? Also pay attention that this box is not spammable. Like this is metal box, this is a wooden box, so you can shoot through this, but you can't shoot through that. So that's another point, right? And the biggest change to this is, and they say in the video that it's to destroy the ability to have the undestroyable trap from CYPHER. That's why they changed it a little bit. But I'll be honest with you, I think when we'll see those changes live on the server, I think you can still be able to do it, because like some of the angles of those things here, like make me think that there's a way of making a CYPHER trap still here. So we'll see. But what do I think about this those changes? So now there are a few big changes over here. Look how they added a completely new angle on this side. Look right here. Right here. You see this? Currently, when you're going to site and you're standing in this corner over here, you will be visible from top side, and you can get spammed through the wall over here. So you can be spammed through here and get hit. Now with this change over here, I don't think this is going to be possible because you're going to be tighter in a corner. So which makes it a little bit easier for the attackers to get out, hide, and like try to water down the storm a little bit, right? So that's a buff for the attackers over here. But also, like, there's a hard 50-50 over here in this spot right now because of the lack of the boxes on the right. And of course, there are changes like to the width of the entrance. It's actually, I'm gonna show you. Wait, I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna make a line. Right. Look, there's a huge difference. How wide the entrance is. Huge difference. All of the mollies are now more like, the mollies are just now crazy to stop it from like stop players from going through. Players will be very anxious to go through this. It kind of feels like the old split, and I don't like that. Like I really don't like this. So I'm very anxious about this change. Personally, I'm also very disappointed that we don't have this unspammable box now in B main, because that was my favorite place to play as a Yoru. It's not possible anymore because they changed it to have a spammable box in the back side. Sorry, no, the back wall. But it also does. I'm assuming this is just a small box, like this one. I'm assuming this is it. This is the box that you can jump onto and just look into the site, but doesn't really give you much. You can only look at the new platform on the backside, essentially. So I'm not certain this is gonna be very impactful. But I understand they wanted to not make it possible to like hide behind this wall in post plant, so they removed that. But they added more positions for better post plant, and you can still spam through this. Like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think those changes to B side are good. I think they're creative and there's a lot of changes, but I don't think those changes will affect the way that they think the game will be affected. So I hope I'm gonna be proven wrong, but I think those changes will actually make B-side actively worse than it is right now. So like for pro play, people don't really put the unbreakable trap anymore because teams learn to use utility. In ranked, people still will be scared. They like we'll see, we'll test it out, but I have some gloomy opinions over here. All right, let's go forward. We're gonna skip through the rest. Right, there was a mid part that I forgot to make a screenshot of. So here let me go like this.
We'll also be making some light changes to
They delete the palm
defender options when
right here. They delete the palm, which I think is cool because now we can use more consistent lineups from behind the wall over here to affect the entrance of market, which is cool. There's another box over here that you can like use for cover. If you go forward, there's no slant anymore, right? Because the wall was like this before, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check.
Defenders opted.
Ah,
We'll share more details with you. We're looking at
Go
other
back, go
feedback
back, go
changes
back.
To mid wire spot and changing B main to reduce some of that post plant gameplay. We'll also be making some light
yeah, there's a slight slope here, as you can see.
changes to
And
mid
now they add the
to add
box.
some defender options
And nothing else seems to be changed.
when defenders
So that's
opt into
about it.
contesting.
And
I think the window is
we've
still
heard
there.
your feedback
Okay.
on map rotations. Trust us, we haven't forgotten that Fracture exists.
Uh-huh.
We're looking at updating our
What about
schedule
Ascent?
and cadence of map rotations going forward. And we'll share more details with you when the next pool goes live with the 908.
But for now, we want to hand things over to Brittany Perez on the anti-cheat team to talk about Vanguard and share some pretty exciting news about ranked. Get good, don't cheat.
All right, so when it comes to Vanguard, like they're gonna make a rollback on RR when it comes to cheaters. There's nothing else interesting said about it, and that's about it. So it's like it's great that they're making that change, but it's not gonna work retroactively. So once they get the possibility of getting back the points you lost to a cheater, it's only gonna be post factum. So once they roll it into the game, not backlogged 4 years, you know. So don't get too happy. But it's a good change, so I'm happy that they do it.
Hey everyone, Steven
Player
here.
behavior, so toxicity and rank and so on.
Our teams manage the player behavior experience in Val. When Anna made her statement about keeping our community healthy a couple of months ago, we worked together to make a few commitments to you. We have significantly accelerated the severity of penalties received for comms abuse, and we've expanded the restrictions on gameplay to include all team-based modes, not just competitive and premier. And we also unlocked hardware bans for behavior. We'll
Which is
only issue
great.
These for cases where we manually review.
That's also very great. Like hardware bans are the most harsh ones, right? Because you need to change your essentially CPU and motherboard, or just motherboard. I'm actually not certain. Let me know in the comments if you know more than me. But I think when you're hardware banned, you definitely have to change the motherboard and maybe the CPU if you want to still play the game. Now, they only do it with manual reviews because of the severity of the outcome of here. So I'm pretty happy to hear that.
We took a look at those manual review processes and audited them. We now have clearer steps for who needs to be involved and when, so that we can have faster manual escalations. And we're also staffing support to review a higher volume of repeat offenders. If you've been repeatedly disruptive over the past episode, you received a notification a couple of weeks ago. Any subsequent behavior events will be weighed more heavily. If you're disruptive, expect a ban.
Thanks.
We know that voice is still a major area for comms abuse, and we started a beta for automated voice evaluation in North America last year. We've seen good results so far and are committed to rolling out voice evaluation globally, and that's coming before the end of the year. However,
that's great.
building confidence around other languages is taking longer than we anticipated. So we'll support English globally first and rolling out additional languages over time.
Still, it will still affect Europe. Like, of course, this is the biggest news for America because they only use English in majority. Not only, but majority of the comms are in English. In Europe, we just have too many languages, so we can't really expect like miracles over here. It's gonna be very hard for Valorant to actually make a good model to like guard all the languages that we have in the EU. There's 26 of us, like different languages that are being used. You can't expect like a bot, like an AI bot, to know exactly what is being said in Polish when Polish people are very creative. Let's say like that way. Like I don't know if this is ever possible, because like yeah, some of like our language is very creative. So
We need
yeah.
to continue to invest heavily here and are
Good
committed
luck,
to doing
right?
so.
And competitive and ranked resets, like they don't really say anything interesting over here. Like it's just about the
If you did your
fact that
placement matches and received
the-
your rank, you probably
you get
placed
the
a little bit
reset
lower
of the
than where you
rank.
were last season. We feel the pros and the cons to resets. Regular resets help to shake out the inconsistencies and
They're
maintain
not
a
gonna
consistent
delete them.
definition of skill at every level.
and they only
At
touch the
same
problem
time,
with the
not
consoles
seeing that
being
rank that you
added.
worked so hard to achieve can be rough.
So
Currently
yeah,
looking into ways to keep the benefits of resetting ranks while providing more opportunities for upside to balance against that feels bad. Now, to our new console friends, welcome.
so expect to have rewards, more rewards for ranked. I guess that's it.
Champs is such a perfect moment to join us. You get to see Val framed at the highest level of competition. We're so excited for each of you to start on your own competitive journey in Val. To those players who have been with us since the beta, you notice that we had to adjust the way that we calculated rank from beta to launch. When we turned on the competitive queue for console, we estimated where folks would place with an all-new player base and so many players joining us all at once. And after a couple months of testing, we saw that players were climbing the ranks faster than we had anticipated, and the stats behind it didn't quite match up. So we reset ranks and have a more effective rank distribution on console now. Going forward, both console and PC will reset rank at the same cadence, though console players shouldn't expect a change as big as the beta adjustment. We're just getting warmed up.
There's no impact. Like doesn't really matter when the console players have the reset. If this is the same as the PC players, like it doesn't really matter.
We'll be back soon on our socials with a refresher on Ranked 101, and later to discuss some spicier topics before end of year.
So that's important though. We can expect big changes to ranked. We'll back soon on our socials with a refresher on ranked 1-on-1. Oh wait, no, I think this is like some tips and tricks or like informations about ranked.
Refresher on Ranked 101, and later to discuss some spicier topics.
Yeah, okay, so essentially they're gonna go back to like posting about ranked like facts, I'm assuming, and before the end of the year we're gonna hear about some changes to ranked. So yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something new. We're gonna be very close in touch with the changes for the future of the games. If you're gonna if you want to learn more in the future and know my thoughts and the analysis on those changes, subscribe and like the video, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.